Welcome to College Town Talk. I'm Shan Stout.
And I'm Jonathan Frank.
Well, Jonathan, it's award show season in Hollywood right now, but today we're talking to someone who is a star in her own right, and she's got the trophies to prove it.
That's right, and I've been so looking forward to this. You guys, today we're talking with Dr. Chelsea Dowell. She's a lecturer of economics in Tennessee Tech's College of Business and the winner of the Tennessee Jumpstart Coalition for Financial Education's 2025 Tennessee Educator of the Year Award. She also racked up 5 university and college level awards during the 2024 to 2025 academic year, including Tennessee Tech's Outstanding Faculty Award for Teaching, the General Education Award for Outstanding Teaching, the Tech Togetherness Award, the Wings of Kindness Award, and the College of Business's Excellence in Overall Performance Award. And get this, Dr. Dowell just arrived at Tech in 2023, so she has made a major impact in a short amount of time. We're so glad to have her here. Dr. Dowell, welcome to College Town Talk.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here. You guys interview such amazing people, so I'm excited to be a part of it.
Well, we do interview amazing people, including present company right here. So we're so glad to have you here today to hear all of your accomplishments at Tennessee Tech. You'd think I was describing someone that had been here 20 years, and I can't get over the fact that you've just been here for a little over 2 years. So I want to start by asking how you chose Tech, because you've lived and worked all over the country, from South Carolina to Kentucky and Iowa, and someone with your background surely had their pick of universities. So how did we get lucky enough to persuade you to come to Cookeville?
Actually, that's an interesting story. So when I was an undergrad, I had a mentor. I had an econ professor who was fabulous, really got me excited about economics graduate school. And eventually, he actually became the department chair at the economics, finance, and marketing department at Tech. And so when an econ position became available, he called me up and he encouraged me to apply. And I said no. I was in the middle of getting my doctorate, and so I didn't want to move.
Plot twist.
You were a little busy.
I was a little busy. It was nothing against him or what was happening here. It was just, I was like, no, everybody tells you don't switch jobs in the middle of your graduate program, you're not going to finish. And I didn't want that to happen. So he called a few more times in the coming months until finally I was just like, well, let's just have a conversation about it, and I'll tell you my concerns, and you can tell me your concerns, and we'll go from there. And he just spoke the world of Tennessee Tech, right? He told me that the faculty and staff would be super supportive of the types of projects I like to do, and the teaching style would really fit in with the students. They would appreciate my enthusiasm. It wouldn't be too overwhelming for them, which is always a concern because I can be a lot sometimes. And he was just over the moon about how wonderful it was here. So I officially came to Tech because of him, even though I was in the middle of my doctorate program. And then once I got here, everything he said was true, right? The faculty were incredibly welcoming. The dean, the staff have been so supportive in every project that I come up with. Sometimes a little much when it comes to timelines. I walked into the dean's office not too long ago and said, I want to start an undergraduate research journal. He said, great. In the next few years, I said, no, today. He said, okay, let's figure out how to make that happen. What school would do that for you? So it was wonderful. And then the students have just been amazing, right? Throw challenge after challenge at them, and they just rise to the occasion with a smile. So mentor brought me here, but the faculty, the staff, the students, they're what kept me here.
Well, I want to talk about how much the students love you and your interesting teaching style. I've kind of poached the best question of the day, in my opinion. Now, as we spoke of, you've racked up quite the collection of awards during your time here at Tech, and it seems to me that part of your success has been your commitment to creative hands-on learning for those students. Now, I read that during your 2024 football season at Tech, your sports economics class spent an entire semester planning ways to help Tennessee Tech athletics strengthen their personal business operations. Now, I love this because that's really a fun internal project that's going to make long-term solutions viable. So, You met with coaches and staff. The students attended game day events. They came up with real-life solutions to the real challenges that were happening. What can you tell us about that particular class, and what kind of feedback did you get back from Tech Athletics? I'm sure they either loved you or hated you. I'm not sure. I want to know.
Well, I hope they didn't hate me. That would not be the goal of that project. No, it was a great class. So to be fair, my favorite class is always the class I'm currently teaching. So in the moment, that was my favorite class.
That's right.
That was my favorite class. So I do a lot of service research to kind of give you some background. I'm a business economist, so I do more applied work. So I like to do pro bono consulting for local nonprofits, right? Organizations that wouldn't normally be able to afford an economist on staff. And anytime.
What a gift for them. Let's just clarify. That is a gift.
Well, and so many people don't learn to serve in their gifts until later in life. And I was one of those people. I knew how to serve at a soup kitchen, which is admirable and wonderful. I knew how to, do coat drives and things like that. But economists have a special skill that a lot of other people don't. And it took me a while to learn how to serve in that skill set. And I don't want my students to wait until adulthood to figure out how to serve in those skills. So as part of that, I try and bring them in whenever I can on my research projects, right? Not everything can I bring a student in on, but whenever I can, I try to. So for example, actually just yesterday, my students presented to Rural Innovation Center on campus. They have a client, City of Birdstown. They're doing a downtown revitalization project. And so my managerial econ students got to consult on that project, and they presented their results to them yesterday to a room full of guests. And I think it went pretty well. They started to a little bit of fighting over who would get the next intern or fellowship from my students. They were trying to beat each other out to win them over. So I think it went well. My business stats class, same thing. We consulted for iCube Center research on campus, and they do work with the Tennessee Department of Transportation, right, for safety programs. And so my students consulted for them. And actually one of my students from there, he took his research on and presented at an undergraduate research conference at the Federal Reserve Bank of Cleveland to standing room only, room full of Federal Reserve board members, right? Board of Governors, got to shake their hands. Really wonderful experience for them. But the sports class in particular, so it's one of those types of classes, right? We do consulting work. And we consulted for the football program and their ticketing office. So I met with Jess Morgan, right? She's in the ticketing office, the athletic director. My students went to some of the football games, so they had to learn to volunteer, give back to the community, but it was also observational, right? They got to see the logistics of how the operations worked. Instead of just asking lots of questions, they got to actually go and experience it, experience the fan engagement, things like that. So they took all of that and created their own solutions based on what we learned in class, right? Economic theory, data application. They came up with one project was optimizing ticket pricing in the new stadium. One was on funding for the new stadium, the new big, beautiful football stadium. And then a couple of groups worked on alternative revenue streams to help with the funding of the new stadium. So we will get to see how many of their ideas actually make it into the new stadium. We'll have to wait and see, though. We won't know for sure, right, until we get to experience it all together. But I'm excited to see some of their ideas come to life.
You do have such a creative approach to learning and finding hands-on ways for students to engage with the course material. And it's not just your sports economics class. I mean, I know you and Sherry Cannon, who we had on the show, did Leadership the Disney Way. You were taking students to Disney World to learn about their business models. And you've also got another project, Shan. I don't know if you know about this. We should be, I think, a little concerned. You have some Tennessee Tech honors students who have launched their own podcast called Everyone Loves Economics. So what can you tell us about that project, and why are you trying to put Shan and me out of a job? Because I've heard these students and they're very good.
Okay, and I just want to interrupt and say Everyone loves economics. If you were my economics professor, I would love economics. Just this podcast today during this interview, you are making economics a fascinating subject and very engaging. So, I mean, yeah.
Maybe we have to listen to the competition.
I guess. Darn it.
Not competition. I'm fangirling out right now being a part of this. So definitely not competition. Excited to be here. But the Everyone Loves Economics podcast series, it stemmed from the honors program, the mission of the honors program. So we have a new honors program director, Lindsay Roberts. She's fantastic. And she really wants our students working on interdisciplinary studies, right? Being able to bring economics, for example, into some of the other fields and seeing how they cross over. So I have students from all different majors in the honors program coming to take the class. And so part of their project is they have to pick a paradoxical question, a question that doesn't have an obvious answer that's part of their future career field, whatever they want to go into. And then they have to answer the question with what they learn in class. So economic theory, research, data applications, and then they can't just stop there. So they write their script, they interview an expert in the field, they produce it, and then we share it with the community. And the idea is, so what I like to tell my students, I said, keeping economics all to ourselves is very selfish. We need to share it with everyone, share it with the community so that everyone can love economics just like they do. So that's kind of where it came from. But yes, they get very excited. So the podcast that just dropped, the episode this month was an economics major, Hunter Pittman, and he was studying the Nashville party bus scene and whether or not it was friend or foe for Nashville. Our first episode was a music major, so Melina Ham, and she studied the impact that AI was going to have on the music industry. So solving all of this with economic theory, right? Answering the questions with economic theory. So all very interesting. I get excited because I learned something new about what they're interested in. So I'm this semester, so teaser for next season, the ones they just turned in, I learned a lot about rocket science. That came up. I learned a lot about energy economics, so things like alternative energies. So we've got some good stuff in the works. It's going to be fun.
Well, and you guys are taking on really kind of newsy topics that are, I mean, the whole thing about the party buses and the pedal cabs in Nashville, I mean, that gets people talking. And so you've chosen some really interesting topics.
Well, and that goes definitely to the students. They're picking what's interesting to them. And so they get all the credit. They are the brains behind that, and it's wonderful to just watch them blossom.
Well, I just love that the relevance of these topics to them are causing that creative inspiration. You know, it sustains you. You know, when you're in school and your professor gives you, say, a subject that you're just like, blah. Right? You do the bottom of the barrel, like you toe the line, you put in your report, your essay, whatever the project is, and you do it, but you're not exactly passionate about it. And so I think what your secret sauce is that you are helping these students learn more because they are more interested. I think that is absolutely wonderful. And we're going to talk about something even more wonderful. Dr. Dowell, you've said in the past that financial literacy can change lives, and you've created a free program in the community that I think will do exactly that. You've designed a free 7-week financial literacy program that was open to the public. You partnered with a local church to get the word out and have a space for people to meet and get their questions answered. What a wonderful thing to do for the community. I want to know, how did the idea for that program come about? What did it mean to you to see people in the community receiving free financial literacy guidance thanks to the good work and great idea that you started?
So the Faith and Finance program came out of a recognized need in the community. And to be fair, we all can do better. I learn new things every day. So if you just kind of keep that growth mindset, that was really where we were going with this. We valued the information and the knowledge that the participants came in with. and we let them take the lead. So it was very much about what is important to you? What do you want to learn? And let's help you make that happen. So they got to upvote different topics. So we talked a lot about mortgages and interest rates that were happening. A lot of people trying to figure out how they're going to buy a home in the future. We had one day devoted to just building a budget. And so we went through and really figured out what are their financial goals and what are the steps to get them there so that they can reach whatever their personal goals are. So it was really great to see these adults coming in and telling us what they did know. But we also had space in our programming to talk about some financial trauma responses, right? There's emotional aspects to finances. So for example, one thing I shared with them, I grew up in the Great Recession. And so what I've noticed is sometimes I save to my detriment. I keep saving and saving because I'm always worried this bad thing is going to happen, and I never spend. Well, that's also not healthy, right? So trying to find that balance. Am I saving because I need to be saving and working towards this, or am I saving out of fear? And so we talked a lot about different people's experiences with finances growing up, and then take them out and observe them and decide, is this a behavior I want to keep, or is this one I want to discard? So I had great help. I had she was an MBA student at the time at Tech. She's now graduated, so she's an alum. So Faith Judkins, she's fantastic. So she helped facilitate those discussions with me. And it was great every week to see these adults coming in all excited and saying, guess what I did this week, right? And they tell us about whatever their big accomplishment was, and we're hoping we were proud of them, and we were so proud of them. But it was fun to see, adults in the community getting excited about reaching their goals. I see my students do it a lot, but to see adults out living their lives get excited was fun.
Well, and that is life-changing for people that don't have access to this information. And I love that you tell your story, because people would even say, well, what? There's nothing wrong with saving. That's a complete positive. But there is potentially a downside. I had a friend who would never take his family on vacation because he said that was a waste of money. He needed to be responsible. So they had never been on a family vacation, and his kids were about to graduate high school. And I was like, look, you guys are out of debt. You are financially stable. You've saved all this money. You need to take your family on a vacation before your family no longer lives with you. Like, this is an important thing. And he struggled same on your side of the fence. But I also have a friend who's a single mom. She said, my parents were not financially responsible. I did not learn good financial practices. I don't know how to budget. I don't know how to manage money. She said, that is something I feel ashamed of, but I just don't have those skill sets. What do I do? And so I think people are in different buckets and different levels of what they need with the financial literacy that you're offering. This is just beautiful, and I love that you're using your skill sets to give back. I think that is a different type of philanthropy that is just lovely. Thank you so much for that.
Well, it does make me think, Shan, that if Dave Ramsey saw how much I spend at Soulcraft Coffee in a given month, he would be appalled.
He would be shaming you. Maybe you shouldn't be a call-in guest on his show.
Not going to call into his show anytime soon. Dr. Dowell, this is my favorite part of the podcast because it is time for a few rapid-fire questions. So you'll just tell me the first thing that comes to mind. Are you ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. Favorite off-campus hangout spot in Cookeville?
In Cookeville, Burgess Falls.
Yes.
Ooh, good choice.
I love Burgess Falls. I love being able to go hike to a waterfall in the middle of a city, but then also, I don't know what you all call it down here. I call it creek stomping, where at the end, you can actually, at the end of the trail, go into the water and like cool off. And so I'll take my camp chair and actually sit in the water and let the water go over my feet.
All day long.
I love it. Okay. Favorite moment from a class this semester?
Okay, so my favorite moments are always the guess what moments. So guess what moments are when students walk in and say, guess what? And then they fill in the blank, right? They tell me something. And so I've had students come in and be like, guess what? I went home for Thanksgiving and my parents were talking about interest rates and I actually joined in the conversation. Or
that's fantastic.
I had the one this semester that really got me. It was, guess what? My old high school teacher reached out to me on LinkedIn because they saw the AI credential that I got for your class and asked me to come speak at a board meeting on technology in the classroom.
Amazing.
With a bunch of business leaders and educators from their county. That was my favorite this semester.
Cool. Okay, what would you be doing for a career if not working in economics or higher education?
Okay, so I do think I miss my calling. I think that if I weren't an economist, I would be a Hallmark Christmas movie scriptwriter.
Oh, please save the Hallmark movies.
Absolutely.
Plot twist.
Exactly.
I'm ready.
Well, that's just it, right? It's the busy exec comes home to save the family Christmas tree farm and meets her high school sweetheart and realizes love was there all along. I could definitely.
So instead of the marketing director coming to town, it would be the economist coming to town and saving Christmas.
And then we would teach everyone what an economist actually is.
I love this movie. I'm in.
I would watch that film. Okay.
I would play the loyal best friend.
Okay, finish this sentence. One thing I wish more people knew about Tennessee Tech is...
At Tennessee Tech, we actually have, little known fact, we have the only STEM designated economics major in the state of Tennessee.
Wow.
I didn't even know that.
Exactly.
Gosh.
That's what I said. Most people don't know.
There you go.
It puts your application right to the top for grad school applications.
Okay, and finally, we're going to ask you to name some names here. The colleague that I can't sit next to in meetings because we'd talk or laugh too much is...
Okay, so talk too much and laugh too much are different. So talk too much, you already named her, Sherry Cannon, the Associate Director of Professional Readiness and Leadership. We get to talking, especially about things like Disney World, like you mentioned. But laugh too much, I would actually say our new Associate Dean in the College of Business, Dr. Coco Wu. She's hilarious, but in a very deadpan, understated kind of way. So you have to be sitting next to her to hear her commentary on what's happening, but it's hilarious. And I have a terrible poker face. So if I sit next to her and she says anything, then I completely lose it and disrupt the meeting. So I'm not allowed to sit next to
I think we found our next podcast guest.
That's fantastic. Now, finally, Dr. Dowell, we like to end each interview on this podcast with this same question. What is one way that Tennessee Tech has impacted your life?
I would say that Tennessee Tech has a very unique culture, and that culture has been so supportive and welcoming to me, and I don't think you can really understand it until you come and feel it, right? Come and take a visit, come and shake a hand, introduce yourself and talk to some people, right? When I say the faculty, hey, faculty, I need help. I have this project coming up. They all show up smiling, excited to be there, not begrudgingly, right? And that's such a unique process to have that our students really get the benefit of.
I think I can see, Dr. Dowell, why Tennessee Tech fought so hard to convince you to come here. You are such a benefit. And a benefit to our podcast today. Thanks so much for being our guest on College Town Talk.
Thank you for having me. This has been wonderful.
And for our listeners, if you're enjoying our show and hearing from incredible Tennessee Tech faculty like Dr. Chelsea Dowell, would you do us a favor and leave a 5-star review on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get this podcast? It all helps to spread the word about the great things happening right here in Cookeville.
We'll meet you back here again next week for more conversations with the people who make Cookeville, Tennessee's college town.
College Town Talk is presented by Tennessee Tech University in partnership with the Cookeville-Putnam County Visitors Bureau. Your hosts are Jonathan Frank and Shan Stout, and original music is performed by Andrew Buckner. Visit us online at tntech.edu/collegetowntalk.